Chapter 41. The Essence of Nine Heavens Soil, Rebuilding the Flesh. As Niwa spoke, her beautiful eyes were fixated on Gu Changsheng, filled with curiosity, as if trying to see through him. Her tone also softened from its previous coldness, becoming more gentle. Gu Changsheng instinctive. Lai took a step back. Ask away, but don't get so close. Where's your saintly demeanor? Gu Changsheng smiled slightly and slowly uttered 2 words. Just guessed. Upon hearing this, Niwa glared fiercely at Gu Changsheng. Nice. But the more Gu Changsheng behaved this way, the more curious Niwa became. The fact that Mitrela had manipulated Emperor Xin should have been known only to the 2 Western saints and a few others, and Gu Changsheng was definitely not present when it happened. So, how did he know? The Western religion certainly wouldn't tell Gu Changsheng, and the disciples of the Jie sect wouldn't know either, otherwise, their leader Tongtian would have confronted her already. Niwa now found Gu Changsheng increasingly unfathomable. It wasn't just his cultivation level, there was an air of mystery about him. Do you think I believe you? Niwa said coldly. Seeing Niwa's reaction, Gu Changsheng had to start fabricating. No, explaining in earnest. It's simple. I just found Emperor Xin's poem suspicious. In my opinion, for Emperor Xin to do something so absurd, he must have been manipulated, but as the human sovereign, ordinary cultivators couldn't have harmed him. Mitrela, being a disciple of the Western saints, and a teacher to the Emperor, was the most likely. So, I took a chance, and it turned out to be true. After Gu Changsheng finished speaking, Niwa's gaze became even more peculiar. On the surface, Gu Changsheng's explanation seemed plausible, but how did he manage to suspect Mitrela right from the start? Niwa asked in a deep voice. Do you trust your judgment that much? What if it wasn't Mitrela? How would you handle it? This time, he guessed right, so everything is fine, and she would be grateful to Gu Changsheng. But if he had been wrong, wouldn't he have offended her? In response to Niwa's query, Gu Changsheng remained calm and said lightly, It doesn't matter, the event has already happened, hasn't it? He had traversed time. How could he be wrong? Everything was under his control. Niwa stared at Gu Changsheng. Although he said this, her intuition told her the truth wasn't so simple. However, Gu Changsheng clearly didn't want to reveal more, so asking further would be pointless. Niwa had no course but to wave her hand, handing over the 9 heavens soil to Gu Changsheng. Watching him take the 9 heavens soil, another question arose in Niwa's mind, which she voiced directly. What do you need the 9 heavens soil for? The 9 heavens soil was indeed a valuable item, but Gu Changsheng already had the Chaos Supreme treasure. What use could it be to him? Gu Changsheng put away the 9 heavens soil, and turned to leave, leaving only a single sentence echoing in Niwa's palace. No comment. Hearing these words, Niwa's face darkened visibly. Gu Changsheng, she was indeed impudent. Throughout the entire prehistoric era, he was the first to speak to her in such a manner. She should have asked her questions before handing over the 9 heavens soil. Now, she knew nothing more, and Gu Changsheng was already gone. Originally, Niwa wasn't interested in the affairs of the Jie sect, but now it seemed the Yuanshi and the others were in trouble. Gu Changsheng was not a simple man. Humph, if Gu Changsheng needed her help next time, it wouldn't be so easy. Returning to his cave on Jiejiao Island, Gu Changsheng took out the 9 heavens soil, and the spiritual water he had obtained from Niwa's palace task. With these 2 items, he could now help Zhao Gongming and Bixiao rebuild their bodies. Gu Changsheng's expression turned extremely serious. This was only the beginning. If successful, all the primordial spirits, reclaimed from the investiture of the gods, would rely on this method to rebuild their bodies. Niwa had created humans from soil, and now, Gu Changsheng was adding spiritual water to the mix. The combination would not only make he reconstructed bodies stronger, but also allow them to grow with cultivation. After a brief preparation, Gu Changsheng formed hand seals, channeling his magic into the 9 heavens soil, and began the process of rebuilding the bodies with the help of the spiritual water. Hours later, 2 mud figures stood before Gu Changsheng, emitting a faint mystical light despite their lack of physical features. The final step was to merge Zhao Gongming and Bixiao's primordial spirits with these bodies. Gu Changsheng entered the Chaos Pearl, awakening the primordial spirits of Zhao Gongming and Bixiao. The 2 woke up in a daze, especially Zhao Gongming, who remembered being killed by Liu Ye's 7-arrow book. "Little sister, why are you here?" Zhao Gongming noticed Bixiao beside him. Bixiao, too, was bewildered. Hadn't she already died? At this moment, Gu Changsheng summoned the Kingping's sword, and said solemnly, "I know you both have many questions, which I will answer later. But for now, follow my instructions." Seeing the Kingping's sword, Zhao Gongming and Bixiao's doubts eased considerably. Gu Changsheng had them each choose a body. When their primordial spirits merged, a white light enveloped the area. After a long while, the light faded, revealing Zhao Gongming and Bixiao standing before Gu Changsheng. Both were astonished. Not only had they been resurrected, but their cultivation seemed to have improved. Gu Changsheng observed Zhao Gongming and Bixiao. The appearance of the mud figures had changed according to their primordial spirits, indicating a successful reconstruction. This method could be used for all reclaimed Jie sect disciples. In this way, his plan to retrieve primordial spirits from the investiture of the gods would succeed. He could revive one person every 100 days and rebuild their bodies. Thus, it wouldn't take long to revive all the Jie sect disciples listed on the investiture of the gods. This list should be filled by disciples of the Chan and Western religions instead. Noticing Gu Changsheng's gaze, Zhao Gongming looked at him, and was about to speak when Gu Changsheng said, "I am Gu Changsheng, Tongtian's first disciple." Gu Changsheng briefly explained what had happened since the battle of the 10,000 Immortals. Zhao Gongming and Bixiao fell silent, their faces full of sorrow. They hadn't expected the Jie sect to fall to such a state. Zhao Gongming clenched his fists, his face livid with anger, and said through gritted teeth, "The 4 NTS and 3 religions have gone too far. I never imagined the Jie sect would end up like this." But then, Zhao Gongming seemed to think of something and bowed deeply to Gu Changsheng, saying respectfully, "Thank you, senior brother Gu, for saving our lives." Such kindness was like a second birth. Bixiao's eyes reddened, murmuring, "Elder sister, second sister." The 3 sisters had a deep bond, and upon being resurrected, Bixiao naturally thought of Jiang and Ziya. Zhao Gongming's anger fled. "I will make the Chan and human religions pay in blood." Bixiao's words reminded Gu Changsheng, who smiled lightly. "As for Ziya, it will take some time. But Jiang Ziya wasn't on the investiture of the gods list, so saving her won't be a problem." Chapter 42. The Depths of Killing Cliff. Zhuandu's threat. As soon as Gu Changsheng spoke, Bixiao and Zhao Gongming widened their eyes in shock. Bixiao cried out, "What? Big sister isn't dead. Where is she now?" Gu Changsheng nodded and said solemnly, "Back then, when the 9 curves low river formation was broken, you and Ziya both perished and your souls were captured on the investiture of the gods. But Jiang Ziya was trapped by Laozi's heaven and earth diagram and suppressed under Killing Cliff. According to the original trajectory, Jiang Ziya would eventually perish under Killing Cliff. But now, he could prevent that from happening." Rescuing Jiang Ziya had always been part of Gu Changsheng's plan, but since his return to the prehistoric times, he hadn't had a moment to spare. He had been causing havoc at the investiture platform, slicing through Mount Sum Brew with his sword, returning Tongtian to Zixia Palace, and revealing the truth about Emperor Xin. If it hadn't been for Bixiao's reminder, he wouldn't know when he would be able to rescue Jiang Ziya. Since Bixiao brought it up, it was time to act immediately. However, before setting off, Gu Changsheng remembered something, and turned to Zhao Gongming. "You stay and cultivate in the Chaos Pearl for now. Familiarize yourself with your new body. Bixiao will come with me to rescue Jiang Ziya from Killing Cliff." Zhao Gongming, however, was concerned and said, "Senior brother Gu, Killing Cliff is located in Kunlun Mountain. If you go there alone, won't the Yuking Saint attack you?" Given the current situation between the Jie sect and the Chan sect, it was very dangerous for a Jie sect member to go to Kunlun Mountain. But Gu Changsheng just chuckled. "Attack I wish he would. Just focus on your cultivation." With that, Gu Changsheng took Bixiao out of the Chaos Pearl and headed straight for Killing Cliff. At Killing Cliff, a scroll floated above, exuding an indescribable the aura of mystery. This was Laozi's treasure, the heaven and earth diagram. Under Killing Cliff, a woman was suppressed. She wore a light yellow dress, and there was no trace of magical power on her beautiful face full of exhaustion. Since the 9 curves yellow river formation was broken, Jiang Ziya had been trapped here, her condition worsening under the pressure of the heaven and earth diagram. At this rate, even as a quasi-saint, she wouldn't last much longer. Suddenly, the sound of something cutting through the air could be heard from a distance. A figure appeared in front of Jiang Ziya. The man looked at Jiang Ziya with interest and said, "Jiang Ziya, how much longer can you hold out? If you agree to my terms, I can plead with my master to release you. How about it?" Jiang Ziya slowly opened her eyes, her dim gaze sweeping over the man with disdain. "Zhuandu, saint, stop wasting your breath. I am a disciple of the Jie sect. I'd rather die than submit. I will never join your human sect." After saying this, Jiang Ziya closed her eyes again. Seeing Jiang Ziya's reaction, a flash of murderous intent crossed Zhuandu's eyes. Ever since Jiang Ziya had been suppressed under Kilin Cliff, he had been coming daily to persuade her under Laozi's orders. Laozi didn't want to kill Jiang Ziya outright due to her considerable cultivation, which was why he had trapped her instead. Additionally, Zhuandu was captivated by Jiang Ziya's beauty, a rare trait among powerful male cultivators in the prehistoric era. He wanted her to join the human sect and become his Tao companion. But despite his efforts, Jiang Ziya remained stubborn and refused to submit. Zhuandu's voice turned cold. "Jiang Ziya, you shouldn't be so ungrateful. After the battle of the 10,000 Immortals, the Jie sect was utterly defeated, and even the Shag King Saint is confined to Zixia Palace. I am trying to help you." Zhuandu had just come out of seclusion and was unaware of recent events. Hearing his words, Jiang Ziya's expression turned more sorrowful. The Jie sect had indeed fallen to such a state, but she still responded coldly, "Even if the Jie sect is no more, I, Jiang Ziya, will never betray it. Stop wasting your time." Kang Xiao, Big Xiao, and Zhao Gongming were all dead. Jiang Ziya had already resolved to die. There was no way she would compromise with Zhuandu. Seeing her refusal once again, Zhuandu's patience was nearly exhausted. He had to find a way to force Jiang Ziya to submit. As Zhuandu pondered his next move, he sensed something and turned to see two figures rapidly approaching. In an instant, Big Xiao and Gu Changsheng had arrived at the base of Kilin Cliff. Big Xiao shouted, "Big sister." Hearing the familiar voice, Jiang Ziya immediately opened her eyes, looking at Big Xiao in disbelief. "Little sister, you are alive." Jiang Ziya couldn't believe her eyes. She had seen Big Xiao die with her own eyes. How could Big Xiao now appear before? Zhuandu was also puzzled. Although he didn't know why Big Xiao was alive again, he now had a way to force Jiang Ziya's submission. As for Gu Changsheng, who came with Big Xiao, Zhuandu completely ignored him, thinking he was just another disciple of the Jie sect. Zhuandu now feared nothing from Jie sect members. Zhuandu said coldly, "Jiang Ziya, you should know what will happen to Big Xiao if the Chan sect finds out she's here. If you agree to my terms, I can guarantee your sister's safety." Zhuandu's words immediately reminded Jiang Ziya of the danger. Her joy vanished, replaced by urgency. "Little sister, why are you here? Leave quickly." If the Chan sect found out, Big Xiao would undoubtedly be killed. But Big Xiao turned to look at Gu Changsheng, seeing his calm expression. Her confidence grew. Although she didn't know Gu Changsheng's exact cultivation, anyone who could retrieve her soul from the investiture of the gods and rebuild her body had to be powerful. "Big sister, don't worry. With senior brother Gu here, it's fine. We'll rescue you right away." Big Xiao gathered her power to try to free Jiang Ziya, but couldn't move the heaven and earth diagram. Seeing Jiang Ziya still unwilling to comply, a vicious glint appeared in Zhuandu's eyes. It seemed he had to push Jiang Ziya to the brink. Zhuandu shouted, "Uncle Yuking, there's a Jie sect disciple causing trouble in Kunlun Mountain." His voice, amplified by magic, echoed through Kunlun Mountain. Jiang Ziya's face turned even grimmer at that moment. Chapter 43. If you don't provoke, you won't die in Yuking Palace. Yuanshi, who had been meditating, suddenly heard Zhuandu's voice, his eyes snapping open with a fierce glint of killing intent. He hadn't gone to Jinao Island to deal with the Jie sect disciples, but now the Jie sect disciples had come to Kunlun Mountain on their own. This wouldn't count as him making the first move. Even Gu Changsheng couldn't say anything about it. With a thought, Yuanshi instantly sensed the situation at Kilin Cliff. Big Xiao. Yuanshi was astonished. Big Xiao had been killed, and her soul listed on the investiture of the gods. How could she be here? Perplexed, Yuanshi thought, no matter, capturing Bixia will answer my questions. But just as Yuanqi was about to act, his peripheral vision caught sight of a figure, causing him to halt his steps. Gu Changsheng. Due to Gu Changsheng's higher cultivation, Yuanqi hadn't detected his presence earlier from Yuking Palace. If Gu Changsheng weren't there, capturing Bixia would have been easy. But with Gu Changsheng present, things were different. Yuanqi knew he wasn't Gu Changsheng's match. Observing the situation below, Yuanqi's expression turned thoughtful. Perhaps there was no need for him to intervene just yet. A playful smile appeared on his face, before he turned back to Yuking Palace. At the base of Killing Cliff, Jiang Ziya urgently said, "Little sister, leave here at once. If the Chan sect arrives, you won't be able to escape." After speaking, she glared at Zhuandu with burning anger, gritting her teeth. "Zhuandu, if I ever break free, I will kill you." Zhuandu, however, was indifferent to her threat. "You still have a chance. Agree to my terms, and I'll ensure your safety and your sister's. If you delay any longer, there will be no chance." Jiang Ziya was frantic, shouting at Bixia, "Why aren't you leaving?" But Bixia remained calm. "Don't worry, big sister. With Enya brother Gu here, we'll be fine." Hearing this, Jiang Ziya began to scrutinize Gu Changsheng. Dressed in white, tall and handsome, but most importantly, she couldn't gauge his cultivation. A quasi-saint. Since when did the Jie sect have another quasi-saint disciple? And why had she never heard of him? "Who is this senior brother Gu, Bixia?" Bixia smiled. "Don't worry, senior brother Gu is very strong. Isn't that right, senior brother Gu?" Gu Changsheng, having turned his gaze back from Yuking Palace, nodded slightly. Zhuandu sneered, "What good is strength when facing Master Yuking?" To Zhuandu, Gu Changsheng was just a quasi-saint, nothing more. But Gu Changsheng laughed mockingly. "Is that so? Yuanqi would have to dare show up first." Zhuandu felt puzzled by this comment. Nonsense, as if Master Yuking would fear a mere Jie sect Dikai. Ple. Why isn't he here then? As Gu Changsheng approached Killing Cliff, Zhuandu's confusion deepened. Why hadn't Yuanqi appeared? Gu Changsheng raised his head to look at the heaven and earth diagram above Killing Cliff. "Bixia, step back. I'll break the suppression of the diagram." "Shoo!" Andu laughed loudly. "Dream on. This heaven and earth diagram is a treasure of my master. How could a mere Jie sect disciple?" Before Zhuandu could finish, the sound of a sword resonated from Gu Changsheng's palm. The Kingping's sword appeared. Seeing the Kingping's sword, Jiang Ziya's eyebrows twitched. The Kingping's sword symbolized the Jie sect's leader. Who exactly was Gu Changsheng? Before Jiang Ziya could ask, Gu Changsheng moved. With a swing of the Kingping's sword, a beam of sword light shot towards the heaven and earth diagram. At the moment of impact, the light of the diagram dimmed significantly, and the pressure on Killing Cliff was greatly reduced. Seeing this, Bixia immediately used her magic to shatter the rocks around Jiang Ziya and pulled her out. Freed, Jiang Ziya looked at Gu Changsheng in disbelief. He had broken the suppression of the heaven and earth diagram with a single strike. "Let's go back to Jiejiao Island," Gu Changsheng said, interrupting Jiang Ziya's thoughts. But Zhuandu wouldn't let them leave. Although it was shocking that Gu Changsheng could break the suppression, he had spent too much time trying to persuade Jiang Ziya to let her be taken away now. Zhuandu moved to block their path, his magic power surging, releasing an astonishing pressure. "My master suppressed Jiang Ziya here. Without his permission, no one can take her away." Though unsure why Yuanqi hadn't shown up, as Zhuandu believed he could handle Bixia and the others alone. Feeling Zhuandu's power, Jiang Ziya's face grew grim. As the first disciple of the Taiking, Zhuandu was a quasi-saint. If she were in full strength, she could fight him. But after being suppressed for so long, she was in no condition to fight. Bixia's strength, she knew, was no match for Zhuandu. As for Gu Changsheng, Jiang Ziya glanced at Gu Changsheng. Although he held the Kingping's sword and seemed powerful, could he defeat Zhuandu? Moreover, this was Kunlun Mountain. If the fight dragged on, more Chan sect members would arrive, and none of them would escape. What should they do? Bixia, however, seemed eager to fight. Since her resurrection, she felt her cultivation had improved significantly, and wanted to test it. Zhuandu was the perfect opponent. Just as Bixia stepped forward, ready to fight, a hand rested on her shoulder. Gu Changsheng pulled her back, and stepped forward himself, fixing his gaze on Zhuandu. With a cold, emotionless look, Gu Changsheng uttered a single word. Leave. Chapter 44. Who do you think you are? The cold voice echoed around Killing Cliff, leaving Jiang Ziya, Big Xiao, and Zhuandu stunned. Jiang Ziya looked at Gu Changsheng in astonishment. Even at her peak, she wouldn't dare to disregard Zhuandu so blatantly. After all, Zhuandu's cultivation was significant. I can't. Big Xiao, on the other hand, gazed at Gu Changsheng with shining eyes, full of admiration. Senior brother Gu is so domineering. What exactly is his cultivation level? As for Zhuandu, after his brief shock, his face twisted into a sneer. Surging with magic power and eyes full of killing intent, he coldly said, "Do you think the Jie sect is still the same as it was before? I'll see just how capable you are." Zhuandu's right hand glowed with golden light, revealing the shadow of a pagoda. Seeing this, Jiang Ziya's expression turned serious. The Taiking Saint actually for you the heaven and earth Zhuanhuan Linglong pagoda. This pagoda is the #1 innate merit treasure, comparable to an innate treasure in defense. What is Zhuandu thinking, using such a treasure right from the start? If she still had her golden dipper and golden jiao scissors, with Gu Changsheng's help, they might have stood a chance. But now, Jiang Ziya's beautiful eyes were filled with worry. Yet, when she looked at Gu Changsheng, she found his expression unchanged, his indifferent gaze showing no concern for Zhuandu at all. Does Gu Changsheng not know the power of the heaven and earth Zhuanhuan Linglong pagoda? That can't be. If he knows, then why? Gu Changsheng coldly looked at Zhuandu and said indifferently, "If you want to die, go ahead. Let's go." Big Xiao followed closely behind Gu Changsheng without hesitation. After a brief pause, Jiang Ziya also followed. The three of them walked past Zhuandu, about to leave. Unable to hold back any longer, Zhuandu activated the heaven and earth Zhuanhuan Linglong pagoda, sending it crashing down towards Gu Changsheng. Is Zhuandu stupid? As the first disciple of the human sect and the foremost disciple of the Taiking, Zhuandu certainly wasn't stupid. Those who reached his level of cultivation were rarely foolish. Zhuandu couldn't gauge Gu Changsheng's cultivation, but from his words, it was clear that Gu Changsheng was formidable. So Zhuandu used his strongest treasure, the heaven and earth Zhuanhuan Linglong pagoda, right from the start, attacking with full force. No matter how powerful Gu Changsheng was, unless he was a saint, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Just as Zhuandu activated the pagoda, a frantic shout echoed from the sky. "Stop!" This voice caught Jiang Ziya and the others' attention. They turned to see a figure appear before them in an instant. Jiang Ziya's heart trembled. Laozi has arrived. It's over. Not only will I be trapped, but Big Xiao and Gu Changsheng will also be caught. Zhuandu also saw his master, and was confused. What does master mean by telling me to stop? Is Gu Changsheng untouchable? But the pagoda was already in motion and couldn't be withdrawn. As long as Gu Changsheng wasn't a saint, he would be suppressed by the pagoda. Just as the pagoda was about to land, Gu Changsheng moved. The Kingping's sword in his hand disappeared, replaced by another sword. The moment this sword appeared, the entire heaven and earth Zhuanhuan Linglong pagoda seemed to tremble. With a cold snort, Gu Changsheng swung the heaven-slaying sword. The sound of the sword echoed across the sky. The word slashed through the pagoda and headed straight for Zhuandu. Zhuandu's face changed drastically, a chill running from his feet to his head. A saint. This power was beyond a quasi-saint's reach. This guy is a saint. The Jie sect has another saint. In truth, Zhuandu was unlucky. When Gu Changsheng caused havoc at the investiture platform, Zhuandu was in seclusion, having never heard of Gu Changsheng. Otherwise, he wouldn't have provoked him today. Seeing the heaven-slaying sword about to strike, Laozi intervened. With a wave of his hand, a beam of golden light met the then-slaying sword. But in his haste, Laozi's power couldn't fully counter the sword's attack. With a scream, Zhuandu's left arm was severed at the root, blood spraying out. Even more terrifying was the destructive force invading his body from the wound. Laozi quickly stabilized Zhuandu's injury with his magic. Watching this, Jiang Ziya was completely dumbfounded. A saint? A primordial Da Luo? When did the Jie sect gain such a powerful figure? Big Xiao was excited. Senior brother Gu is so strong. Laozi managed to stabilize Zhuandu's injury. Although his life was no longer in anger, the injury would be incredibly difficult to heal. The heaven-slaying sword's damage was something a quasi-saint couldn't withstand. Recalling the heaven and earth Wanhuan Linglong Pagoda, Laozi saw a sword mark on the treasure. His face darkened as he looked at Gu Changsheng. Gu Changsheng, you've gone too far. Didn't you hear me tell you to stop? Upon sensing the disturbance in the heaven and earth diagram, Laozi had rushed to kill Cliff. He had planned to release Jiang Ziya if Gu Changsheng was involved, but he hadn't expected this to happen. If he hadn't arrived in time, Xuandu would have died at Gu Changsheng's hands. Unlike the Jie sect and Chan sect, the human sect had very few disciples. Xuandu was the most promising among them. Laozi had hoped to find a way to help Xuandu become a saint. But now, that hope was dashed by Gu Changsheng's word. Initially, Laozi had no desire to oppose Gu Changsheng. Having seen his strength, Laozi knew it would be unwise. He planned to let Gu Changsheng fight the Chan sect and the Western sect, benefiting from their conflict. But now, Gu Changsheng had almost killed Xuandu, turning a minor grudge into a significant enmity. In response to Laozi's rebuke, Gu Changsheng raised the heaven-slaying sword, pointing it at Laozi, his face expressionless. What a joke. Just because you tell me to stop, I should stop. Who do you think you are? Chapter 45. This is too fragile, as the voice echoed. Jiang Ziya's heart clenched tightly. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on Gu Changsheng. When did Master accept such a monstrous disciple? Initially, when Gu Changsheng confronted Xuandu with such disdain, Jiang Ziya thought he was just arrogant. But after Gu Changsheng proved his strength with a single strike, it was clear he had the right to be arrogant. Now, even facing the Taiking saint, Gu Changsheng showed no respect, giving Laozi no face at all. What shocked Jiang Ziya the most was that from Laozi's words, she had already concluded one thing: Laozi was wary of Gu Changsheng. Otherwise, with Xuandu injured like this, Laozi would have already taken action. The only explanation was that Laozi wasn't confident in defeating Gu Changsheng. Could it be that senior brother Gu's cultivation was not only comparable to a saint but even on par with Laozi? Such a powerful figure, yet he hadn't shown himself before. Jiang Ziya's mind was filled with questions. Meanwhile, Bixiao looked at Gu Changsheng with eyes full of admiration. Facing Laozi head-on, just how strong was senior brother Gu? Laozi's expression turned extremely grim. If it were anyone else, even Yuanshi or Tongtian, he would have acted immediately. But this was Gu Changsheng. At Mount Sumu, even the combined strength of the four saints couldn't defeat Gu Changsheng, let alone just him now. Gu Changsheng, don't you think, Master, Bixiao and this Jie sect disciple forcefully broke through the heaven and earth diagram and injured me. Master, you must not let them go. Xuandu interrupted Laozi, his voice filled with urgency. But before he could finish, Laozi turned and glared at him, shouting angrily, "Shut up! Do you have the right to speak here? If it weren't for your arrogance, you wouldn't be in this situation." Xuandu's face filled with grievance. How was he arrogant? He had used the heaven and earth Wanhuan Linglong Pagoda right from the start. How could he have known that Gu Changsheng had the strength of a saint? After scolding Xuandu, Laozi looked at Gu Changsheng, gritting his teeth. Gu Changsheng, you made a pact with the teacher that you wouldn't act recklessly or bully the weak. You were breaking that agreement. Before Laozi could finish, Gu Changsheng laughed mockingly. Laozi, get your facts straight. What do you mean by bullying the weak? I am a disciple of Tongtian, and Xuandu is your disciple. In terms of seniority, we are equals. Laozi was momentarily speechless, his mouth opening and closing without words. Gu Changsheng continued. Besides, I only promised Hoggen not to act recklessly. As you saw, Xuandu attacked me first. If a Jie sect disciple dared to attack you, you'd have killed them without hesitation. I only cut off his arm, showing mercy. Listening to Gu Changsheng's words, Xuandu couldn't hold back and aid, should I thank you then? Exactly, Bixiao chimed in immediately. Xuandu's body stiffened, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. As the first disciple of the human sect, when had he ever been so humiliated? Bixiao added, and you are a quasi-saint. Can't even handle this much. Ts pathetic. Enraged, Xuandu's eyes rolled back, and he fainted. Seeing this, Laozi was furious, glaring at Bixiao. Jie sect disciples have become so brazen. As he spoke, his magical power surged, ready to attack. But Gu Changsheng stepped in front of Bixiao, waving the heaven-slaying sword, and said calmly, Bixio is right. Even a quasi-saint should withstand this much. Laozi, maybe you should consider taking another disciple. Xuandu's mentality is clearly lacking. If Xuandu weren't unconscious, he would probably faint from anger again. This was too humiliating. When had quasi-saints become so insignificant? Laozi was so angry he couldn't speak. What could he do? Fight Gu Changsheng? He wasn't strong enough. But letting Gu Changsheng leave without a fight was unbearable. As Laozi hesitated, a figure appeared above Killing Cliff. Yuanshi had finally arrived. He looked at the scene in astonishment before shouting angrily, "What happened here? Gu Changsheng, what are you doing in the Chan sect?" With Yuanshi's arrival, Jiang Ziya and the others turned their attention to him. Laozi didn't speak, but his expression was strange, as if deep in thought. Jiang Ziya had grown accustomed to such things. With Laozi here, what difference did Yuanshi make? Bixio was unfazed, feeling secure with Gu Changsheng present. Gu Changsheng didn't even glance at Yuanshi, saying indifferently, "I'm here to take my Jie sect disciples back to Jiejiao Island. Do you have a problem with that?" Yuanshi was momentarily speechless. Taking Jie sect disciples back shouldn't be an issue, but Gu Changsheng's tone was so dismissive. Gu Changsheng then looked at Laozi and asked directly, "Are you going to fight or not? If yes, let's get in with it. If not, step aside." Laozi gritted his teeth, his expression complex. He wanted to fight Gu Changsheng, but he knew he couldn't win. Seeing Laozi's silence, Gu Changsheng motioned for Jiang Ziya and Bixio to follow him. The three of them left Kunlun Mountain. After they left, Yuanshi, seething with anger, said, "Brother, Gu Changsheng is too arrogant. We must find a way to deal with him." Laozi finally moved, looking at the unconscious Xuandu, then at Yuanshi, his eyes blazing with fury. Magical power surged around him, a shadow of the Taijai diagram appearing behind him. Laozi coldly said, "Yuanshi, you owe me an explanation." Chapter 46, Are you teaching me? The sudden interrogation by Laozi caused Yuanshi to be stunned momentarily. However, Yuanshi quickly regained his composure. He took a step back to put some distance between himself and Laozi, then coldly retorted, "Laozi, what are you trying to do? Landu was injured, and I know you are angry, but shouldn't you be looking for Gu Changsheng instead? Now that Gu Changsheng and the others have left, you come to question me. Do you think I'm easy to bully?" 3 consecutive questions, each word sharp and powerful, made it seem as if Yuanshi had all the reasons on his side. Yet, the more Yuanshi spoke, the more grim Laozi's expression became. The magical power emanating from his body grew increasingly violent. Laozi gritted his back teeth, glaring at Yuanshi, and roared, "What do you think you are doing? You are, Inshu. Do you take me for a fool? Gu Changsheng appeared at your Killing Cliff, but you showed up later than I did. Xuandu didn't know Gu Changsheng's cultivation, but didn't you? Do you think your little scheme can fool me?" The more Laozi spoke, the angrier he became. He directly summoned his coiling dragon staff and struck at Yuanshi. Among the 6 sages of the Great Wilderness, in terms of shrewdness and scheming, even Jiejiao was slightly inferior to Laozi. How could Laozi not understand Yuanshi's intentions? Yuanshi clearly thought that Laozi would not take action against Gu Changsheng, maintaining a neutral stance and watching the drama unfold during the recent events involving the Jie sect. So, even though he knew Xuandu would clash with Gu Changsheng, he didn't intervene. The purpose was to let Gu Changsheng injure Xuandu, thereby provoking Laozi. Indeed, Yuanshi's tactic succeeded in angering Laozi, but the anger wasn't solely directed at Gu Changsheng, it was also aimed at Yuanshi. Seeing the coiling dragon staff coming towards him, Yuanshi also invoked his magical power. After blocking the strike, he immediately argued, "Don't go too far. I was in seclusion and didn't notice the situation at Killing Cliff." Even if Laozi guessed the truth, what could he do? Deny everything. What could Laozi do to him? Listening to Yuanshi's explanation, Laozi was furious. His spells and divine powers sent out continuously, striking at Yuanshi while he shouted, "Seclusion. I only ask you, whose dojo is Kunlun Mountain?" If he hadn't arrived in time today, Xuandu would have faced far worse than just losing an arm. What if Xuandu had really been slain by Gu Changsheng? Laozi didn't even dare to imagine the consequences. His attacks became increasingly violent, causing the entire Kunlun Mountain to tremble. This time, Yuan Shi also panicked. Kunlun Mountain couldn't collapse like Mount Sumu. Yuan Shi roared, "Don't push me too far, or I'll go to our teacher to seek justice." It seemed that only Hogjun could stop Laozi now. Moreover, Yuan Shi also wanted to ask about Bixia. Bixia's soul had clearly been listed on the Fenshin Bang list of deities, so why did she appear at Killing Cliff today, and not in a state of only a primordial spirit, but clearly revived? Although reviving a cultivator wasn't difficult for a sage, it depended on the specific circumstances. If someone listed on the Fenshin Bang could be revived, what was the point of the Fenshin Bang? Hearing Yuan Shi's words, Laozi naturally wouldn't back down. "Fine, let's go to Jiejiao Palace." Yuan Shi and Laozi then headed to Jiejiao Palace together. Before long, the two arrived at the entrance of Jiejiao Palace. Yuan Shi first bowed and respectfully said, "Disciple Yuan Shi seeks an audience with our teacher." After waiting for a while without any response from Hogjun, Laozi couldn't help but speak up, "Disciple Laozi seeks an audience with our teacher." Moments later, the doors of Jiejiao Palace finally opened. Yuan Shi and Laozi entered Jiejiao Palace. Seeing Hogjun before them, both felt a shiver in their hearts. Something seemed off. Even though Hogjun hadn't spoken yet, they could sense his displeasure. Hogjun was indeed in a bad mood. After the Fenshin Bang was destroyed, the most urgent task was to repair it and re-establish the deities. But what happened? Mount Sumu had been sighted twice already, and now Laozi and Yuan Shi had come to bother him. Did they think repairing the Fenshin Bang was that simple? In a cold voice, Hogjun asked, "What is it?" Laozi was the first to react, recounting how Yuan Shi deliberately didn't save Zwandu. Yuan Shi immediately countered, "What Laozi said is his own speculation. Although I was in Kunlun Mountain, I truly didn't know about Gu Changsheng and Zwandu at Killing Cliff." After Yuan Shi finished speaking, Hogjun's expression grew even colder. Just this. Hogjun was really holding back his allure. Yuan Shi and Laozi came to Jiejiao Palace, disturbing his repair of the Fenshin Bang, just for Zwandu. If it were a major issue among the 6 sages, it might be understandable. But for Zwandu, sensing something wrong in Hogjun's tone, Yuan Shi hurriedly added, "There's one more thing. This time at Killing Cliff, I saw the Jie sect disciple Bixia. But Bixia was slain by me personally, her soul listed on the Fenshin Bang. Could there be an issue with the Fenshin Bang?" The matter of Bixia was indeed strange. Hearing this, Hogjun also showed a thoughtful expression and began calculating. Moments later, Hogjun coldly replied, "The person you saw shouldn't be Bixia." Though Hogjun had already merged with the Tao, without the completion of the Fenshin list, the fusion was imperfect. With the calamity unfinished and Bixios and Zhao Gong, NGS bodies recreated by Gu Changsheng, an anomaly, coupled with constant interruptions in repairing the Fenshin Bang, Hogjun was extremely annoyed. So, in a simple calculation, he couldn't find any anomalies. But Hogjun didn't know the details, so his calculation concluded that Bixia was not unusual. This response left Yuan Shi and Laozi bewildered. They exchanged a glance, understanding each other's thoughts. Could they have mistaken her identity? But how could 2 sages of their stature mistake someone? The person with Gu Changsheng was undoubtedly Bixia. Moreover, Jiang Ziya also addressed her as little sister. This explanation didn't make sense. Although the idea of Bixia leaving the Fenshin Bang was absurd, it was equally absurd to think that 2 sages could both misidentify her. So Yuan Shi cautiously asked, "Teacher, the matter of Bixia is very peculiar. Should we check the Fenshin Bang to confirm if Bixia is still listed?" Yuan Shi felt his question was reasonable. But as soon as he said it, Hogjun's face visibly darkened, his icy stare making Yuan Shi's heart tremble. Word by word, Hogjun coldly replied, "Are you teaching me?"
Chapter 47, The Master and Disciples Conversation, the secret plot of the Fenshin Bang. At this moment, although Hogjun did not use any magic power, both Yuan Shi and Laozi felt a shiver run through them. This feeling of trembling was something neither of them had ever experienced before. Laozi didn't even dare to lift his head. The anger brought by Zwandu's severe injury had already diminished by more than half. It was clear that they had come at a bad time. The teacher might not act against him, and Yuan Shi, right? Out of the corner of his eye, Laozi glanced at Yuan Shu, cursing him internally. In the future, he would definitely avoid interacting with Yuan Shu as much as possible, otherwise, he might end up being dragged down by him. A sage who couldn't even read the situation. The teacher was clearly in a bad mood, yet Yuan Shu kept talking about Big Xiao's matter. Yuan Shu said it, not him. If the teacher were to act, it should be against Yuan Shu. At this point, even Yuan Shu, despite his foolishness, understood his situation and quickly said, "Disciple did not mean that. I will investigate Big Xiao's matter thoroughly. I will not disturb the teacher further." After speaking, he cautiously retreated. Seeing that Han Zhan did not respond, Yuan Shu turned and left directly. Laozi followed closely behind. Seeing Yuan Shu and Laozi leave, Han Zhan snorted coldly. Fortunately, they left quickly. If they had said another word, consequences might have been dire. Han Zhan turned and went back to continue repairing the Fenshin ban. In fact, if Yuan Shu had come to Han Zhan at an appropriate time regarding Big Xiao's matter, Han Zhan would have definitely checked the Fenshin ban and discovered that one person was indeed missing. But now, with Yuan Shu bringing up the matter under these circumstances, Han Zhan, already extremely annoyed, naturally wouldn't seriously consider it. Therefore, Han Zhan still did not discover that someone was missing from the Fenshin ban. After Yuan Shu and Laozi left Xiao Palace, Laozi couldn't help but mock, "Next time, use your brain before you speak." After seeing this, Laozi turned and left. He still needed to find a way to deal with Xuandi's injuries. Seeing Laozi leave, Yuan Shu's face also turned grim. It would be wise not to seek the tick her for some time. However, the situation at Killing Cliff had made Yuan Shu more vigilant. It seemed that the Jie sect had already started their revenge. He needed to warn the disciples of the Chen sect to be more careful. With this in mind, Yuan Shu immediately set off for Kunlun Mountain. On the other side, at Golden Owl Island, the disciples of the Jie sect stared wide-eyed at Gu Changsheng and his companions in shock, joy, confusion, and various other emotions. Gu Changsheng remained calm, as he had already been back for some time. What truly shocked everyone were the two people beside him, Jiang Ziya and Big Xiao. To the disciples of the Jie sect, these two were both familiar and strange. Their familiarity needed no explanation. They were among the best disciples of the Jie sect. But Jiang Ziya had been suppressed under Killing Cliff, and Big Xiao had met a tragic end, her soul listed on the Fenshin ban. If Gu Changsheng had merely rescued Jiang Ziya from under Killing Cliff, it would still be within the realm of possibility. But Big Xiao's presence was utterly beyond their expectations. At this moment, Big Xiao turned to Jiang Ziya, puzzled, and asked, "Big sister, we're back at Golden Owl Island. Why do you still look so worried?" Jiang Ziya looked at Gu Changsheng and sighed, "Senior brother Gu, I am worried that Laozi might hold a grudge and take action against our Jie sect disciples. I now think that if Yuan Shu had appeared earlier, the situation might have been better." Xuandi's injury was no light matter. But Gu Changsheng responded calmly, "You're overthinking it. Yuan Shu would never have shown up early. He wanted me to severely injure, or even kill Xuandi." This statement left Jiang Ziya rooted to the spot. Yuan Shu wouldn't appear early. What did that mean? Yuan Shu intended for Laozi to hold a grudge against the Jie sect. But Gu Changsheng knew this and still severely injured Xuandi. How powerful was this man to disregard both Yuan Shu and Laozi? While Jiang Ziya was still lost in thought, Duobao and other disciples approached from afar. Seeing Jiang Ziya and Big Xiao, Duobao looked at Gu Changsheng with a smile and said, "Senior brother Gu, you never cease to amaze." Gu Changsheng smiled slightly but said nothing. Duobao continued, "The master is looking for you. You should go to Biao Palace. Gu Changsheng nodded and headed toward Baiawu Palace. After Gu Changsheng left, other disciples quickly gathered around. Senior sister Jiang Ziya, did senior brother Gu rescue you from under Killing Cliff? Senior sister Jiang Ziya, what exactly happened? How did Gu Changsheng go out and bring back both Jiang Ziya and Big Ziya? Before Jiang Ziya would answer, Big Ziya, full of excitement, said, of course. You didn't see it, but the Renjiao disciple Zuandu was nearly slain by senior brother Gu's sword. This statement immediately piqued everyone's interest. Zuandu was at Killing Cliff too. Not just Zuandu, even Laozi and Yuan Shu showed up in the end, but neither dared to act against senior brother Gu. Let me tell you all the details. Finally, having a crowd of listeners, Big Ziya began recounting the events enthusiastically. Gu Changsheng arrived at Baiawu Palace. Upon seeing Gu Changsheng, Tongtian smiled and said, "You never cease to amaze me. I can understand Jiang Ziya's case, but what about Big Ziya? Did you really manage to retrieve her primordial spirit from a Fenshin ban?" Although Gu Changsheng had mentioned it before, Tongtian hadn't taken it seriously. Who would have thought that in such a short time, Gu Changsheng would actually bring Big Ziya back? Gu Changsheng promptly replied, "When have I ever lied? Soon, I will be able to rescue all the Jie sect disciples listed on the Fenshin ban." Hearing this, Tongtian's face showed a hint of worry. Rescuing the Jie sect disciples was undoubtedly a good thing, but Tongtian furrowed his brow, worried, and said, "If the Dao ancestor finds out, will he come for you?" Han Zhang was indeed a problem. However, Gu Changsheng responded calmly, "What if he does? Firstly, though I am no match for Han Zhang, he can't do anything to me either." This was the main reason Gu Changsheng had been acting so boldly since his return to the Great Wilderness. Secondly, I am not stopping Han Zhang from feeling the Fenshin ban. As long as someone feels the list, it doesn't matter. I'll save the Jie sect disciples and let the Chan sect and Western sect disciples feel it instead. Listening to Gu Changsheng, Tongtian fell into deep thought. On the surface, Gu Changsheng's words seemed logical, but something still felt off. Tongtian then said, "But if you enter the Dao ancestor, won't he lash out at the Jie sect directly?" This was a pertinent question, one that had previously concerned Gu Changsheng. However, he had long since found an answer. Gu Changsheng chuckled and said, "Master, haven't you figured it out yet?" After speaking, Gu Changsheng remained silent, waiting for Tongtian to ask another question. Tongtian raised his hand, playfully chiding, "Hurry up and speak. Do I have to ask again?" Gu Changsheng finally continued, "It's simple. Master, you haven't grasped the essence of the Fenshin tribulation. The so-called ancient tribulation is the heavenly Dao suppressing the human Dao and also the process of Han Zhang further merging with the Dao. Since the Lich tribulation, the Jie sect has flourished, so Han Zhang wants our disciples to fill the list. Although Han Zhang is powerful, he's not yet at the level of acting with absolute impunity. His actions are still constrained by many considerations. Otherwise, why bother giving Yuan Shu the Fenshin ban? He could have just named a few Jie sect members directly." From Gu Changsheng's perspective, Han Zhang was hypocritical. He wanted Jie sect disciples to fill the list according to his wishes, but didn't want to tarnish his image as an absolutely just Dao ancestor. Otherwise, all the forces in the Great Wilderness would be in constant fear, wondering if they might be the next Jie sect. Thus, Han Zhang had to use seemingly fair rules to achieve his goals. Gu Changsheng's explanation helped Tongtian understand a lot. Tongtian said in a deep voice, "I understand, but according to you, even if all the Jie sect disciples are freed and replaced on the Fenshin ban, Han Zhang's strength will still improve after merging with the Dao. Won't you be in danger then?" Right now, Han Zhang couldn't do anything to Gu Changsheng, but what about after the Fenshin tribulation ended? Gu Changsheng sneered. Master, do you underestimate me? Only Han Zhang's strengths will improve. Do you think I won't progress during this time? Han Zhang could increase his compatibility with the heavenly Tao, but Gu Changsheng had his system. This statement reminded Tongtian. He smiled wryly. So I was worrying for nothing, wasn't I? Master, don't worry. Han Zhang can't harm me. We just need to recline, everything the four sages and three sects owe us. Hearing this, Tongtian's eyes brightened as he thought of something and slowly said, in that case, there's something I've wanted to do for a long time. With that, Tongtian began walking out of Baiawu Palace. Seeing this, Gu Changsheng quickly asked, Master, where are you going? Aren't you going to cultivate? At this time, shouldn't the master be in seclusion, striving to break through to the Great Law? What could be more urgent than a breakthrough? Tongtian didn't look back, simply saying, 9 Immortals Mount, N.
Chapter 48, Flattening 9 Immortals Mountain. 9 Immortals Mountain. Isn't that the dojo of Guan Kegs from the Chan sect? Why is the master going there at this time? Could it be? Gu Changsheng suddenly became interested and stepped forward to stop Tongtian. Master, lines go with you. Tongtian, who had already reached the door, stopped and looked back at Gu Changsheng. You want to go too? After thinking for a moment, Tongtian realized that taking Gu Changsheng along was indeed the best choice, so he nodded and said, You can come, but you need to act accordingly. This time, I will take action. Tongtian's words confirmed Gu Changsheng's suspicions about what Tongtian intended to do. He replied directly, No problem. The two left Baiawu Palace together. On a corner of Golden Owl Island, Bixiao stood on a stone chair, passionately recounting Gu Changsheng's deeds at Killing Cliff. You should have seen the situation back then. Xuandu had already summoned the Heaven and Earth Zhuanyuan Tower. He thought that with his quasi-sage cultivation and the tower, he could easily suppress any disciple of the Jiejiao CT. But this time, he ran into senior brother Gu. The moment the tower flew over, senior brother Gu's Kingping's sword disappeared, replaced by another sword. If you ask me, that sword might be a chaos treasure. Even the Heaven and Earth Zhuanyuan Tower couldn't withstand it. Upon hearing this, the disciples of the Jiejiao sect immediately exclaimed, Chaos treasure? No way. Even our master's 4 immortal swords are just innate treasures. Could senior brother Gu really have a chaos treasure? As soon as these doubts were voiced, Qiu Shixin shouted, You are wrong. I'm sure that sword is a chaos treasure. Back at Mount Sumu, senior brother Gu single-handedly fought against 4 saints. Laozi's and Yuan Shi's Taijai diagram, and Pangu banner were no match for him. It must be a chaos treasure. With Qiu Shixin's statement, the disciple's attention shifted to him. Qiu Shixin, tell us about senior brother Gu's deeds at Mount Sumu. Yes, please tell us. Bixiao also looked over curiously and urged, quickly, tell us. But just as Bixiao finished speaking, she saw 2 figures emerging from Baiawu Palace out of the corner of her eye. It was the master and senior brother Gu. Bixiao was stunned for a moment, then watched as Tongtian and Gu Changsheng left Golden Owl Island, and flew into the distance. Bixiao quickly said, Qiu Shixin, wait until I get back. You must tell me then. As she spoke, she chased after Tongtian and Gu Changsheng. The disciples, engrossed in the story, didn't pay much attention to Bixiao's departure. Tongtian said calmly, Changsheng, let's speed up. I estimate that after the commotion at Killing Cliff, Yuan Shu will be on guard. Don't let Guan Kegs escape. However, Gu Changsheng replied, Master, we can speed up. But it seems we have an extra person. Hearing this, Tongtian looked puzzled, and then turned around as if sensing something. He saw Bixiao chasing after them. Moments later, Bixiao caught up, hurry, yes on Gu Changsheng, smiling. Master, senior brother Gu, where are you going? I want to come too. Seeing this, Tongtian felt a bit speechless. Bixiao was clearly asking him, but she hadn't even glanced at him. Tongtian coldly said, Don't ask me, ask your senior brother Gu. Gu Changsheng smiled slightly. Since you are here, you might as well come along. With Gu Changsheng's permission, Bixiao was delighted and excitedly asked, Senior brother Gu, what are we going to do? We are going to 9 Immortals Mountain. Bixiao looked puzzled. What are we going to do at 9 Immortals Mountain? Before she could ask further, Gu Changsheng placed a hand on her shoulder and said, to flatten 9 Immortals Mountain. This simple statement made Bixiao incredibly excited. Guankegs. Some debts need to be repaid. At 9 Immortals Mountain, inside Peach Blossom Cave, Guankegs sat meditating on a cushion. Ever since Jiang Ziya successfully destroyed the Shang dynasty, Guankegs had returned to Peach Blossom Cave. The next moment, Guankegs opened his eyes. Outside the cave, a streak of golden light approached. Din! Guankegs extended his right hand, catching the golden light, and then showed a puzzled expression. The golden light was a divine transmission from Yuanshu. The message was simple: Guankegs was to go to Kunlun Mountain immediately. My! Could it be that the master was planning to take action against Gu Changsheng? Last time, when Gu Changsheng caused chaos at the Fengshan platform, Guankegs and the others lost face. If the master was indeed going to deal with Gu Changsheng, he had to prepare well. Guankegs checked his various treasures and talismans. Although fighting Gu Changsheng with his current cultivation was asking for death, if the master had summoned him, there must be a plan. He decided to go to Kunlun Mountain first. But just as Guankegs was about to leave 9 Immortals Mountain, a deep rumble of thunder echoed deep from above. The thunder grew louder. Guankegs' eyes flashed with coldness. This was no ordinary thunder. Someone was using magic near 9 Immortals Mountain. How daring! Didn't they know that 9 Immortals Mountain was his dojo? Guankegs was about to go out when the thunder outside suddenly became deafening. With a boom, a bolt of lightning exploded on 9 Immortals Mountain, causing rocks to crack and debris to fall. Guankegs was instantly furious. This wasn't someone casually using magic nearby. They were targeting 9 Immortals Mountain. Flying out, Guankegs shouted angrily, "Who dares to be reckless on my 9 Immortals Mountain? Do you not? Bixiao, what are you doing here? No, wait, how are you alive? What are you doing on 9 Immortals Mountain?" Seeing Bixiao above 9 Immortals Mountain, Guansheng's angry face turned dumbfounded. Wasn't Bixiao dead? How could she be here? Bixiao formed a seal with her jade-like hands, and thunder resounded in the sky again. Are you blind? Of course, I'm here to destroy your dojo. As she spoke, another Qing thunderbolt struck 9 Immortals Mountain. Seeing the thunder explode, Guankegs' anger surged again. He unleashed his magic power, and with a wave of his hand, he struck at the thunderbolt above. With higher cultivation, Guankegs easily extinguished the Qing thunderbolt. I don't know how you are alive, but since you are here at 9 Immortals Mountain, I'll send you off again. Guankegs gritted his teeth as he spoke, but as soon as he finished, a cold voice sounded above him. Bixiao, your Qing thunderbolt is too weak. Chapter 49. The joy of overwhelming the weak initially filled with anger, Guankegs' expression changed to one of shock and terror when he looked up. The figure on the cloud was not unfamiliar to Guankegs. It was Gu Changsheng, the instigator of the chaos at the Fengshan platform. What a joke! Why was Gu Changsheng at 9 Immortals Mountain? Could he be here specifically to deal with him? This Gu Changsheng was a Hunyuan Dalo Jingxian, someone even his master and the Supreme Saint could not defeat together. Now, this Hunyuan Dalo was targeting him. Guanken Ji was at a loss. Lon. With Gu Changsheng here, where could he possibly run to? While Guankegs was terrified, Bixiao looked up at Gu Changsheng, a bit embarrassed about her imperfectly trained Shagking Divine Thunder. I'll just practice more when I get back, Bixiao pouted. At this moment, Guankegs, with a grim face, asked, Gu Changsheng, you are a Hunyuan Dalo Jingxian. Surely you are not here to deal with me. If that were the case, he was finished. Hearing this, Gu Changsheng laughed softly, and replied, you are overthinking it. I won't be the one to deal with you. With these words, Guankegs' heart relaxed. As long as Gu Changsheng didn't act, it was fine. He then looked at Bixiao. Without Gu Changsheng intervening, he could easily handle Bixiao. But before Guankegs could celebrate, Bixiao said, judging by your look, do you think I'm your opponent? You are mistaken. I'm just here to watch the show. These words left Guankegs baffled. If not Gu Changsheng and not Bixiao, then who? While Guankegs was puzzled, another figure emerged from the clouds. Tongtian, looking displeased, said to Gu Changsheng, if you are not going to act, step aside. This was Tongtian's moment. Bringing Gu Changsheng along was just a precaution in case Yuan Shu and others showed up. For dealing with Guan Kegs, Tongtian alone was enough. Gu Changsheng laughed and called Jijiao over. As Jijiao moved to Gu Changsheng's side, Tongtian stepped forward to face Guan Kegs. Seeing Tongtian before him, Guan Kegs' face twitched uncontrollably, stammering, "Tun, Tun. Shag King's saint, no, martial uncle." What was this? Was Tongtian going to deal with him? With a stern face, Tongtian said, "Don't call me martial uncle. The Jie sect and Chan sect are adversaries. Make your move. I want to see how strong the leader of the 12 golden immortals of the Chan sect is." These words made Guan Kegs' face turn even more sorrowful. "Shag King's saint, you're a saint? Are you really going to attack me?" Tongtian coldly laughed. "A saint? Not long ago, I abolished my own sainthood. Now, I am a quasi-sage. You Chan sect members must pay for what you've done to the Jie sect. I'll start with you. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. I'll let you strike first." Hearing these words, Guan Kegs was almost in tears. What did he mean by, also a quasi-sage? Even as a quasi-sage, could he possibly match Tongtian? With a bitter smile, Guan Kegs said, "Martial uncle, don't joke. If you attack me, my MAS, sir won't let it go easily." Now, Guan Kegs could only bring up Yuan Shu to buy time. If he delayed long enough, his master would definitely come looking for him. But as soon as Guan Kegs finished speaking, Tongtian's expression turned icy cold, his power surging around him. He said chillingly, "You don't seem to understand your situation. Do you think I'm negotiating with you? If you won't strike, then I will." With that, Tongtian waved his hand, sending a powerful palm strike towards Guan Kegs. Seeing this, Guan Kegs gritted his teeth, determinate, iron flashing in his eyes. There was no avoiding a fight now. Guan Kegs invoked his power, forming hand seals. Thunder roared across the sky. Jade purity divine thunder, descend. Several bolts of lightning struck towards Tongtian. Tongtian merely glanced at the lightning and waved his left hand, dispersing the thunder with a surge of power. In that instant, Guan Kegs summoned the Fantian seal, hurling it at Tongtian. Watching the battle, Jijiao couldn't help but remark, "Senior brother, you said my Shag King Divine Thunder was poorly trained. But Guan Kegs, as the leader of the 12 golden immortals, his Jade Purity Divine Thunder is just as unimpressive." To Jijiao, Guan Kegs' Jade Purity Divine Thunder seemed inferior to her Shag King Thunder. Gu Changsheng knocked on Jijiao's head lightly. "Guan Kegs' opponent is our master. Even if his Jade Purity Divine Thunder was stronger, what difference would it make? Just watch quietly." Rubbing her head, Jijiao focused her gaze back on Guan Kegs. She wanted to see how capable this Guan Kegs truly was. However, the fact remained that being a quasi-sage depended on one's foundation. Tongtian, having abolished his sainthood, was a far stronger quasi-sage than Guan Kegs. Despite Guan Kegs' array of spells and treasures, he was no match for Tongtian. With a single strike, Tongtian sent Guan Kegs crashing into 9 Immortals Mountain. Tongtian coldly shouted, "Jijiao, watch closely. This is the true Shag King Divine Thunder." As he spoke, Tongtian's hands formed seals, and thunder roared. Countless bolts of lightning descended from the clouds, shattering 9 Immortals Mountain under the might of the Shag King Divine Thunder. Looking at the blooded Guan Kegs amidst the rubble, Tongtian felt a deep sense of satisfaction. So this is what it feels like to overwhelm the weak. It feels great. No wonder Yuan Shu enjoys it so much. Guan Kegs stood up painfully, distress over his 9 Immortals Mountain. But more importantly, his life was at stake now. He was completely outmatched. What could he do? At that moment, Tongtian raised his right hand, a sword's killing intent rising. The immortal slaying sword. Seeing this, Guan Kegs was terrified, shouting, "No, no. Master, save me." His cries echoed around him. Tongtian looked at him with disdain. "Is this it? Better to end this quickly." Tongtian raised his right hand, the immortal slaying sword aimed at Guan Kegs. Just as he was about to strike, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Guan Kegs. "Tongtian, how dare you?" Yuan Shu had arrived.
Chapter 50, Senior Brothers seems more powerful. Seeing Yuan Shu arrive, the nearly hopeless Guan Qingzi finally saw a glimmer of hope. With his master here, he should be safe now. Yuan Shi's gaze swept across Tongtian, Gu Changsheng, and Big Xiao, finally lingering on Big Xiao. He confirmed that this was indeed Big Xiao. The Jie sect had somehow managed to resurrect her. However, how Big Xiao was revived was no longer the important issue. What mattered now was Gu Changsheng. After returning from Big Xiao Palace, Yuan Shu, worried that the Jie sect might target the Chan sect disciples, had summoned them to Yushu Palace. But Gu Changsheng had not shown up, causing Yuan Shu to worry. Could the Jie sect have already taken action? Yuan Shu immediately rushed to Nine Immortals Mountain. His worries proved justified. Looking at the injured Gu Changsheng and then at Tongtian, Yuan Shu angrily said, Tongtian, you are the master of the Jie sect, yet you attack my Chan sect disciple. Why? Before Yuan Shu could finish, Tongtian burst into laughter. Yuan Shu found Tongtian's laughter strange and mocking. Unable to hold back any longer, Yuan Shu asked, Tongtian, what do you mean? Tongtian stopped laughing, his eyes full of disdain, and coldly said, What do I mean? Since you told a joke, I naturally cooperated with you. Yuan Shu was stunned. Who's joking? Before Yuan Shu could say more, Gu Changsheng glanced at Big Xiao, who immediately understood his meaning. She stepped forward with a mocking smile, and coldly said, Yuan Shu, how dare you speak to my master like that? When my elder sister set up the Bend Yellow River formation, wasn't it you and Laozi who broke it? After Big Xiao spoke, Gu Changsheng added, and during the 10,000 Immortals formation, you, Laozi, and the two saints of the West didn't hesitate to attack our Jie sect disciples. Now you question my master for attacking Gu Changsheng. How ridiculous! Gu Changsheng and Big Xiao's words left Yuan Shu speechless. At this moment, Tongtian also spoke up. Moreover, what do you mean by bullying the weak? I may be the master of the Jie sect, but I abolished my sainthood. I am now a quasi-sage. Gu Changsheng is simply not skilled enough. Tongtian's words nearly made Gu Changsheng spit blood. How could he be considered unskilled? As the leader of the 12 Golden Immortals, his cultivation was among the top in the Great Wilderness, except for Tongtian. Yuan Shu gritted his teeth and said, in terms of cultivation, you and Gu Changsheng are indeed in the same realm. But as the master of the Jie sect, attacking a Chan sect disciple is bullying the weak. Regarding my previous actions against the Jie sect disciples, I was forced to act. Your disciples showed no respect for their seniors. Yuan Shu finally found a justification for his previous actions. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Tongtian mocked coldly. His gaze was filled with ridicule. Why? Did something seem off? Tongtian stepped back, and Gu Changsheng descended from the clouds, standing in front of Yuan Shu. Yuan Shu's eye twitched uncontrollably. He realized the problem. Gu Changsheng coldly said, if we're talking about status, I am a disciple of the Jie sect. Me dealing with Gu Changsheng isn't bullying the weak, is it? This statement threw Gu Changsheng back into despair. Yes, Gu Changsheng was a Jie sect disciple, but his cultivation surpassed Tongtian's. Yuan Shu's face darkened. No matter how you looked at it, Gu Changsheng was doomed. Yuan Shu was in the same predicament Laozi had been in at Kailin Cliff. Normally, a person of lower status would be weaker, but Gu Changsheng was an anomaly. Gu Changsheng sneered, how about this, take one move from me, and I'll leave. Gu Changsheng looked at Yuan Shu full of hope. Only his master could save him now. He couldn't even withstand half a move. Yuan Shu glared at Gu Changsheng and shouted, Gu Changsheng, don't go too far. Worsening relations with the Chan sect isn't good for the Jie sect. Gu Changsheng laughed, what a joke. Do we need to reconcile with the Chan sect? If Gu Changsheng won't take it, you can. Provided you can withstand it. As the last word fell, Gu Changsheng rose into the air. Power gathered around him as he formed hand seals. boom, boom. With a series of deafening thunderclaps, an indescribable pressure descended from the sky. Big Xiao looked at the faintly visible black thunder on the clouds and couldn't help but ask, Master, why does it seem like senior brother's shanking divine thunder is much stronger though, and yours? Tongtian, who had been staring at the sky in a daze, felt speechless at Big Xiao's words. Was Gu Changsheng doing this on purpose? Just after he used the shanking divine thunder, Gu Changsheng used his too. Tongtian could only reply, that's because I feel from sainthood. At the next moment, as the black thunder roared down, Tongtian felt a shiver. This was not shanking divine thunder at all. Hangman Shuang thunder descend. Seeing the Hangman Shuang thunder fall, Yuan Shu panicked. He had witnessed this power at the Fenshin platform. Yuan Shu hurriedly summoned the Zushanten Qingyan to block. The black thunder collided with the Zushanten Qingyan, causing a devastating shockwave that flattened the already shattered 9 Immortals mountain. Previously, Yuan Shu couldn't withstand the Hangman Shuang thunder at the Fenshin platform. This time was no different. As the black light faded and the thunder dissipated, Yuan Shu reappeared, his Zushanten Qingyan dimmed. He didn't have time to check the damage and quickly turned to look at Guanqingzi. Guanqingzi lay on the ground, his body charred and his life uncertain. Seeing this, Yuan Shi's eyes reddened instantly. Gu Changsheng, you've gone too far.